I'm here at the inaugural UAE Tour, which is a world tour event, and we've got some of the world's best riders here. And what's more, we've got some of the world's best tech. Let's go and check it out. Right, the last time I was in the United Arab Emirates was about 12 months ago, and I was checking out the bikes of Aqua Blue Sport, who are using a one-by setup. They were the only team in the pro peloton doing so. Fast forward 12 months, now I've got the bike of Builtin Pockets of Trek Segafredo next to me, and look at that. A single chainring on there, a 50-tooth unit, and he's paired it up with a 27 lowest sprocket here on the cassette and a 10 as the highest. And that should be all right for the first few stages because it's pretty flat. But I did speak to the mechanic just now, and he said that if the terrain is going to get particularly lumpy, you may well go for a 33 on the rear there, or alternatively, just go back to the standard 2x setup. But it's great to see that a rider's doing this, because I have heard that Builtin Pockets is really into his tech. Narrow wide chainring. Just managed to spot this, the brand new bike of Mark Cavendish. Of course, he's riding BMC for the first time this year. And well, on the drops of his handlebars, the sprint shifters are placed in a really different place to, well, where I've ever seen them before. Normally, they're just on the insides of the drops of the handlebar, but these are actually right on the front, almost like in a trigger position, which has got me thinking. Years ago, Rob Hales, he actually made Cav some special levers for his SRAM setup, so it almost was like a trigger, so he can actually release it during a sprint if he needed to change gear. So possibly that's where he really likes to have them, but I've never seen that on his bike before. Oh, it's amazing what you get to see at these races. You can also see here on Cav's bike is that he's got his initials MC and then a 1 just on the sidewall of the tyre there, which makes me think that, well, possibly the wheels have been built to a special configuration for him, because the tyres, they look pretty much standard. But I'll have to try and ask one of the mechanics, actually, see what's going on there. Or maybe it's just to say that these are, in fact, his race wheels. And then, also, let's see here, we can see a little bit of gaffer tape on the actual fitting system for the bike on the roof to try and protect the sidewalls from any sharp edges that there may be on that bit of kit. Never seen that done before on any roof rack. They're always thinking, these mechanics. Always thinking. Right, I'm here with the bike of Patrick Bevan of the CCC team. Some of you remember he had an absolutely storming ride at the Tour Down Under, and I've got a feeling this is probably his training bike. The thing that gives it away to me is he's got a little light here on the underside of the saddle. It can easily be removed or reattached. Although it's not working at the moment because, well, he's probably been out getting the miles in training. But I do like a sleek little rear light like that. Nice one, Paddy. Now, when you're a pro rider, you've got so much equipment you can choose from. And whilst walking through the paddock here, saw some helmets hanging out to dry, so I thought, John, stop, have a look, and check out those helmets. Right, so first up is the Rev from Giant. And this is going to be used when, well, you're riding in the mountains or you require a lot of airflow, such as the weather was today. It's been pretty warm out here, hence why they've been hosed down and out to dry. So as you can see, lots and lots of ventilation. And it's got quite a striking appearance, actually. Not bad. Then up next, we've got the Pursuit helmet. So an aerodynamic road race going one. So as you can see, all the vents, none on the top at all. But then on the rear, we've got those big old exhaust vents that let out the hot air. Because of course, the top vents, they're like a chimney effect. But when you're riding fast, there's not so much of a chimney effect going on. It's more of an exhaust on a car, if that makes sense. Hopefully it does. Inside of both of those helmets, you've got the MIPS liners too, which help reduce any rotational impact if you were to have a crash. And then finally, one of my favourites actually is this one here, the Rivet. And I love that name because, well, when you're riding a time trial or anything like that on your own, you're normally on the rivet up against the clock. Again, no ventilation on the top. You've just got those 4 on the front, and then there's 4 on the inside of the rear that exit through that single exhaust vent. And the final finishing touch about this helmet, which I think is great, is the padded ear flaps, if you like. If you've tried to put a time trial helmet on, some of them, well, it can feel like you're trying to cut your ears off because when the plastic goes on there, oh, it's not a pleasant experience. But with these rubber-coated ones, I'm a big fan of that. I wouldn't mind riding on the Rivet again. Just checking out the bike of Dmitry Grudzev of Team Astana. 63.5 centimetres from the tip of that saddle to the centre of the bar, and 140mm stem too. It reminds me of a bike from the mid-90s, I guess, when riders were just trying to get as long as possible. He's obviously a big lad with his upper body. Just spotted a couple of Mechanics Pro hacks here. First up, we've got a little bit of kinesio tape inside of the plastic mount for the GPS device on the front of the handlebars. That could possibly stop it from rocking or rattling, because even those plastic inserts can wear out too. Also, we've got an aluminium bar and stem on there, as well as the old Dura Ace 9000 brake calipers, which makes me think that this bike possibly has trouble meeting the UCI minimum weight limit of 6.8 kilos if it's got all of the latest ultralight components on it. Now, the Astana team are the only team in the World Tour using Wolfpack tyres. Wolfpack themselves are a very small outfit operating from Germany and produce tyres in quite limited numbers, I imagine. And what I think is super interesting about this tyre is that it's got really smooth tread through the centre, and then just on the outer edges, you've got a surface which reminds me of a preparation wheel, so the sort of thing you put in an angle grinder to remove paint from a car or a rusty gate, something like that. And it does seem like it would be incredibly grippy just by the feel of it. And then something ultra cool. World Tour riders don't just use top-of-the-range componentry, because here we've got some Ultegra R8000 cassettes on these wheels. Something increasingly common we see on clipless pedals, particularly the Look ones actually, is a little bit of gaffer tape or handlebar tape on the actual platform of them, because once the actual cleat of the pedal starts to wear away, then you do tend to have just that little bit of movement, and a few riders like to be locked in really, really solid. So that takes up any slack or intolerances between the two, like I say, once the cleat starts to wear away. Now, something else I just spotted as well is that the zip logos on these 454 NSWs appear to be almost spray painted on rather than the screen printed or whatever process they use on the standard wheels. So I have a feeling that this is probably one of the first pairs of those in a tubular variety, but because prior to this they were just available in a clincher. Food for thought anyway. Now, the organisers of the UAE Tour, they do provide a compressor for each and every team so that they can, well, not have to use a track pump, because imagine the amount of tyres they have to blow up each and every day. But instead of using it, the team of Movistar and their mechanics, they're actually using one of these, a homemade one instead. And I believe that that has come from the inside of a fridge. That's given me an idea for a Maintenance Monday video, actually, how to make your own compressor. Now, right now, the bike of Alejandro Valverde is getting a quick wrap of fresh new bar tape, but he's got double on the bottom, so on the drops, and then on the top, so just past the brake levers, it's single layered, which is quite interesting. I always thought it'd be ran the other way, but hey, Alejandro, he's world champion. What do I know? But also, importantly, check out the speed in which the mechanic is actually wrapping the bars. I mean, let's face it, he wraps hundreds, if not thousands a year. I'm pretty jealous of this. Now, when you're Alejandro Valverde and the world champion, yep, you earn the right to have rainbow stripes on virtually everything you own, such as your bike, your wheels, your handlebar tape finishing, bits and pieces, as well as your helmet. Incidentally, this one from AGST is incredibly light. I didn't think it'd be quite as impressive as that. But if that's not enough, why don't you get yourself one of these? A rucksack with your name on it, as well as world champion. There's his name, by the way. Here with the bikes of Team Sunweb, and well, they've got a couple of different versions of the Continental Competition Pro Limited tyre. So we've got this one here on the C40 wheel that's got the traditional competition style tread, so it's kind of like little pinheads all over it. Whereas on the C60 wheel, on this bike, we've got a tread which has got a slightly sort of herringbone style tread pattern on the edges, and then a slick centre section. So that makes me think it's probably going to be a quicker wheel, so slightly less rolling resistance with those tyres. But initially, I thought the total pinhead style tread had actually been discontinued, but it's not, which is great actually, because I'm a big fan of this style of tread. Okay, I've got two Cervelo S5s here, and at first I thought it was the same seat post, just flipped around on both. But in actual fact, they do come with the option of two different style seat posts. One, a more in-line version, and one with some setback on there. How did I discover this though? Well, the writing is on the back on both posts. If it was one post being used to try and get you in a different position, that writing would have been on the front. I'm awake today, definitely. With saddle choice being an important thing to consider when you're a pro cyclist, it's amazing the actual number of saddles that are available for a rider to choose from. Take for instance Roman Kreuziger of Team Dimension Data. He's actually opted for this model here, which is carbon fibre in design, and it looks like, well, it's obvious in fact that the rear of it is not joined in any way at all. Instead it's joined at the nose, and then the rear sections can presumably independently move in order to give them a little bit more comfort. I like the look of that. I'm here with a bike of Gazprom Rus Velo, and they're actually using some Tuffo tyres on their bike, which is a change from the norm, because generally we seem to see Continental and Vittoria dominating the pro peloton, with the exception of Pirelli from Mitchelton Scott and also Wolfpack of the Astana team. But it's good to see another brand here. And for those of you who think that the pros only use the top of the range equipment, well, they're using the record 11-speed group set. So there you are. If it's good enough for them, it's good enough for you. Check this out, the bike of Alexander Kristoff of UAE Team Emirates. He's actually got himself some Clincher Vittoria Corsa tyres fitted onto his front wheel. I have also noticed it on a few other bikes here too, those of Lotto, Sedal, as well as Team Dimension Data. So keep your eyes peeled. Maybe more and more riders are going to start using tubeless tyres. Who knows? Now, in the ultimate search or quest for aerodynamics, a few teams are actually using built-in pockets into their skin suits. So when I say built-in, I don't mean like what you find on a traditional road jersey. Instead, it's a very flat pocket, suitable just for a single number. So in the case of Bahrain Merida and their team clothing sponsor Sportful, you can see it, and it kind of has a slight translucent effect to it. And then on the flip side, the squad of Mitchelton Scott, they've got a really clear one on their Giordana skin suits, because No Pins are a company who can make aftermarket pockets for your jersey or skin suit. Right, as you can see just over my shoulder here, the squad of Bora Hansgrohe are warming up, and they're wearing ice vests because, well, the sun is shining. You may be able to see by the red tint to my face, or the red glow as I like to call it. This won't be the last time we see them using those ice vests this week to try and cool down their core body temperature, because I think as the temperature rises, they're going to be using them more and more. No other team I've spotted here has got them. They must have left them in Europe.
If you want extra $5, you can also
nice.
give this.
That'd be nice.
Is for
Protects from the sun as well, doesn't it?
Thank you.
You can keep it. Now, I wish I never said that the team of Bora Hansgrohe were the only one I've seen using ice vests, because just over my shoulder, the team of Jumbo Visma are also using them. Although strictly speaking, they're not actually ice vests. Instead, inside of those pouches, each individual white square is gel, which is then put into a freezer, and then when they're put onto the rider's body, they slowly dissolve into a liquid form again, and then it cools down their body temperature. Of course, you don't want to be using ice ideally, or not too much of it, because in turn that can cause a shock in the body and then have adverse performance effects. Of course, if you forget your riser block for your turbo trainer, you can always improvise like the squad of Mitchelton Scott have, and in the case here they've got a couple of bottles of water and they've gaffer taped them together, then they've slotted their front wheel in between them just to raise it off the ground a few centimetres. Well, I spoke too soon, it looks like, because I looked over my shoulder and the riders from Bahrain Merida, well, they've got ice vests on too. Right, Adam, I got to ask, as we walked past you just now, I looked over and I saw you filling up a container with a load of gels. What's the deal there?
Well, it's, you know, I run a skin suit, so I've got no pockets. And yeah, I just fill this up with gels. It makes it easy. I actually put it just like this, and that's it. That's how I race. I race like that, and then when I want to have some, I take it, have some gels, put it back. There's no waste product. It's good for the environment, and it's easy.
Yeah. How many did you get in there?
It's different brand. With the Sanas ones, I can get about 12 to 14. I didn't fill it up to the max, as you can see. It's not such a hard stage today, so yeah, you get a lot in, and it's good.
There we are, some fantastic bits of tech, and a big thanks as well to the mechanics and the riders for letting me get these grubby hands all over their bikes. Let me know your favourite bit of tech in the comments section below. GCN shop at shop.globalcyclingnetwork.com. Whole load of products for you to check out and deck yourself out with. And for 2 more great videos, how about clicking just down here and just down here? And well, me, I'm going to go back to my house. Bye.